Good evening, good evening, good evening, and welcome back to Let's Talk Grief. I'm your host, Lakecia, and this is the City of Hearts where we deep dive into real conversations. We explore raw emotions and hold space for the parts of grief that most people don't talk about out loud. This is where love, loss, and anger, healing, and truth all gets a seat at the table. Welcome back, you guys. I'm so excited to be here with you tonight. Also, I'm so excited to have my very special guest with me on tonight, Miss Betsy Wurzel. Hi, how are you?
Hi, Lakeisha. Thanks for having me on. I'm so excited.
Yes, it's such a pleasure to have you here, and thank you for coming to sit and have this conversation with me. Your bio really interests me. Dealing with Alzheimer and having dealt with that in my own personal life, but it's some types of grief that we just don't explore or talk about, and so I'm excited to be here with you tonight, and I'm excited to learn more about you. So thank you for coming. Hello,
Well,
good
thank you for having
evening.
me, and um, thank you for your show. It's important to talk about grieving.
Absolutely. So, for those meeting you for the first time tonight, who is Bessie beyond the titles and the advocacy work?
um, I am a mom of a special needs adult son, Josh. So I'm still a caregiver. I a founder and creator of the support group on Facebook, hashtag Kick Alzheimer's Ass Movement. I did have my own show, chatting with Betsy for over 6 years. And I just, and little old me here in New Jersey.
Yes. Well, what part of New Jersey are you from?
uh, let's consider the central part. I'm right
Okay.
across from Staten Island. You can
Okay.
hear my,
I can
yeah,
hear the dialect. That's why I asked.
yeah, you can hear my Jersey accent.
Yes, yes. So you said Alzheimer entered your life long before your husband's diagnosis. What do you remember
Yeah.
emotionally about watching your mother-in-law experience it back in 1999?
Lakeisha, I say that my mother-in-law took me to Alzheimer's school. I worked as a licensed practical nurse. I never heard the word Alzheimer's. It wasn't, it was called different things when I was a student nurse. Matt's grandmother, my husband is Matt. Here's his picture.
Okay.
Um, had, well, we just called it senility back then.
Mm.
And I did not know about Alzheimer's and sundowning and the hallucinations and the paranoia. I didn't know how to handle it. And
Yeah.
there wasn't much support back then. There wasn't much information. And I have to say this to your audience, Lakeisha, and I'm a very big advocate on educate yourself about your own illness, that if you have one, your loved one, and be an advocate. And you can't be an
Yeah.
advocate unless you educate yourself. Um,
Absolutely.
then my dad had Alzheimer's, and then my husband had early onset. It was rough.
Yeah. Yes, and I can definitely attest to that, having to educate yourself because experiencing the fact that my grandfather had dementia and experiencing the sundown and just the different changes throughout his journey with that, it was definitely eye open and it was a learning experience because I didn't know how to manage that. None of us do, but once you educate yourself about what's going on, it does tend to help the process, will help you throughout the process even the more. So I'm glad that you said that.
Yeah. Yes. Actually, Lakeisha, this is funny. I used to go in my car. This is back in 2017, before Instagram, before TikTok. And I used to go in
Oh,
my car and do videos on caregiving and I used to put them out in different support groups. And I didn't think anybody would listen to me. And that's how I got discovered to doing a podcast. But I forgot to mention in 2021, I was nominated and received the Caregiving Advocate a Visionary Award from caregiving.com
Yeah.
for my advocacy. So I'm just a Jersey girl telling it like it is, and my father's daughter.
I
um,
love that. I love it though. The even in the midst of your experience, you chose to help others. Um, we may have been in some of the same caregiver groups because for me, my post was therapy. It was ways for me to get it out, for me to release it into a community of like-minded people, into a community who understood what I was going through because I couldn't talk to my family about it because they didn't understand what I was going through. They still had their free will and their ability to live life on their terms. I didn't, you know.
yeah,
I wasn't able to talk to my friends. They didn't know what to tell me. They never experienced it. So I'm glad that you shared how making the post, even though it was to help others, it was helping you along the way. Yeah.
absolutely, absolutely, Lakeisha. I used to tell people when you help someone else, you're helping yourself. Um,
Yes.
and I just went in my car and I figured no one's going to listen to me because my own family growing up didn't listen to me. So no one's going to listen to me. And lo and behold, I was overwhelmed by the response. And this is back, Lakeisha, when caregivers were not speaking up, when they were not sharing their journey. Me, my friends, and I, we were the pioneers who, like, tell your story, share your story. And I am so happy now that there's more podcasts about caregiving, people talking about dying, grieving, hospice. Hallelujah.
Yeah.
Finally, people are seeing the light of day. Because I used to say, get out of the dementia closet, shine a light on this disease, and
Yeah.
let's take a lesson from our gay brothers and sisters. We need our own revolution. Be out and proud.
Yes. Yes.
The
Absolutely. I
way
love it.
before.
I love that. I do. So,
I just,
I want-
yeah,
so
telling it like it is.
let's talk about the many grievings within the process or the journey of caring, being a caregiver. What was the hardest part about fighting for a diagnosis and proper care that people don't talk about enough?
Wow. My husband was diagnosed in 2010. So that's
Mm-hmm.
16 years ago.
Yes.
And back then, they didn't know about early onset. Oh, Matt's too young. He couldn't have it. Even the neuropsychologist said he wasn't compliant. He couldn't possibly be that bad.
Mm-hmm.
Treated for depression. You see your loved one not being able to know their way around town, not knowing what time Sunday school is that they taught for over 20 years, not knowing how to tell time. It was a fight. And I told the neurologist 2010, I said, Matt didn't even know how to tell time. That is not depression. You can
No.
tell time when you're depressed.
Mm-hmm.
He didn't, and he had trouble reading. My husband loved to read, and he had trouble reading.
Yeah.
And you grieve with every skill lost.
Yes. Absolutely.
You
Absolutely.
really do,
Yes.
and it's normal.
It is. My grief prompted me to write the book that I published called Caregivers Need Love Too.
Oh,
Um,
that's a
yes,
good one. I love
yes.
that.
And it came from my journey with my grandfather in, um, seeing him lose his cognitive skills and his
Mhm.
mobility, and even before then, just something a simple task of forgetting. We found out that my grandfather had dementia when he was supposed to go to the corner store, and he ended up in another state and had a
Oh
head-on
my.
collision. You
Wow.
know, it took him something drastic like that, but we didn't notice the very small changes. And so another tip or tool that I will tell everyone when it comes to your family, slow down, really
Mhm.
pay attention. You know, we move in the fight or flight mode now. Everything is go, 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 go.
Yeah,
Go, 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 go. Everything is so fast paced, and we really don't take the time to slow down and really pay attention. So,
that's that's true.
yes.
Lakecia, when did your grandfather have dementia? How long ago was that?
He passed away in 2024, but he was diagnosed in 2013. 2013.
Yes,
Yes.
even then they didn't have much. I'm sorry about the loss of your grandfather.
Thank you.
Um, you're welcome back. I joined Facebook in 2014,
Mhm.
Lakecia, and let me tell you what, I went crazy joining support groups because I didn't have any. I didn't have
Mhm.
any support.
Yeah.
And back then, people were even going into private support groups underground because they didn't want anyone else to know how they really felt about caregiving.
Mhm. Yes.
They, you know,
And
so
it's amazing how once we express, just the
mhm,
everyday journey of it, um, we're labeled. Like
mhm,
we're not supposed to have those human experiences or those human emotions. Like you didn't stay up 24 hours and care for someone you love. I'm tired. I deserve to go take a nap. I deserve to step
right.
out and have coffee. I deserve to scream if I want to, you know? um,
Yeah.
and
Mhm,
so no one really holds space for caregivers. And so I'm grateful for those caregiving groups. I'm very grateful for
mhm.
those caregiving groups because before those groups, I had no outlet, you know?
That's
I had no
true.
outlet.
I- That's true. 8 years ago, actually, 8 years ago, next month, June, um, Jeannie White, she was the station manager for Passion World Talk Radio Network. She saw one of my videos and interviewed me, and I started talking on her show. Back 8 years ago, Lakecia, people, they could have been anonymous. They didn't want to talk about caregiving. They
Yeah.
didn't want to talk about or share. It was a stigma. Folks, we gotta stop the stigma. And I'm
Mhm.
also a mental health care advocate, Lakecia.
Oh,
And we
wow.
have to, you know, everyone needs help at some point in their life. Don't
Yeah.
judge people that they go for help. Don't judge people that they take an antidepressant or something for anxiety. Have you walked in their shoes? Do you know what it's like? I
Yes.
say sit down and shut up if you don't know what it's like.
Absolutely. I agree
You
with
know?
you wholeheartedly. Yes.
Um, oh, you know what drives me crazy, Lakecia? Now, I'm not a violent person, folks. I'm not recommending this, but when people tell others, be strong, why? Why are you saying that to people?
I
Please,
don't
if
know.
anyone hears this, stop. Do not say that to anyone. Be strong. They are strong. They've been
Yeah.
strong. I
I
don't
give
get
that
it.
disclaimer all the time because, and it's a lot of cliche statements that people say,
Mhm.
and would you just shut up? Like, just sometimes silence is better. Silence is more powerful. Be quiet
Yeah.
because you're doing more harm than you are good with those cliche statements. Leave them where they
Yeah.
are.
I couldn't stand it. And being the blunt person that I am, when my husband was dying and my son and I were crying because we're human beings, be
Mm-hmm.
strong. I said, don't you ever tell me to be strong. or Josh to be strong because we've been strong. We've been taking care of Matt for 10 years. We're human beings and we have a right to cry. And that's another thing, Lakecia. When people lose their loved ones,
Yeah.
folks, don't say to someone, be strong when they lost someone.
Thank
Instead, why don't you just say, I don't know what to say. Let me be with you. Let me just even hold your hand and be
Yes.
with you. But and Lakecia, and I know it because I talked about grieving like 6 years ago. People don't want to hear it. They don't want to hear
Mhm.
about how you feel about grieving. We don't know how to grieve in this society. Well,
No.
you know what? We popped open the lid to that. And we're going to
Yes.
talk about it.
Yes. I love it. Absolutely. So, did you ever feel, when with being a caregiver, how did caregiving impact your identity as a woman, a wife, a mother, and an individual? Let's talk about that because we pick up the role of being a caregiver and then we sacrifice so much
Mhm.
more while being the caregiver. So let's talk about you for a
Yeah,
moment, Betsy, and how did it impact your
sure.
identity as a woman, a wife, a mother, and just as an individual person?
It was very difficult, especially when I didn't really have support. And I thought I had to be the superwoman, take it on the chin. And I almost had a nervous breakdown when that mid journey. I worked in a
Mhm.
daycare at the time, and I was snapping at the kids and didn't even realize it. So I got my
Yeah.
hours cut down, and I went for therapy. Folks, I'm a mental health advocate. Go see a counselor. I'm glad I did because I learned I don't have to be a superwoman.
Oh,
I don't have to be. And it is very hard getting that balance. If I took time for me, I felt guilty. If I took a day to myself, I felt guilty, but you need to take care of yourself.
yeah.
And I've been in this long enough to see the mortality rate of caregivers is very high, 63%. The older you are, the higher the mortality rate. If you want to enjoy life during and after grieving, you have to take care of yourself. I thank
Yeah.
God that I'm sitting here talking to you. I thank God for giving me the strength and the grace because it's not
Absolutely.
easy. It's hard.
Yes. Yes. And I'm so glad that you were able to, be transparent in that moment and talk about that because a lot of people don't realize, what we go through as caregivers. So thank you for being transparent. And you touched on some great things. Some great things. Self-care was one that I struggled with. I struggled with
Yeah, me
self-care.
too.
Yes.
Yeah.
I struggled with self-care. My patience were thin. You know,
Mhm.
I- my kids will say I only had patience for one person, and that was my grandfather. But at that point, it was true. It was true. My patience was thin with everyone else. Yeah.
Yeah.
Um, it wasn't intentional though. It was it was being a caregiver.
Yeah.
The life
It's
of a caregiver.
it is exhausting on all
Yes.
levels.
So what did
That
support look
is
like for
true.
you?
And what is what?
Yes. So what did
I'm sorry. I missed.
support look like for you?
Oh, what support?
Mhm.
Support to me would be if you could physically go to physical support group, that'd be great. If not,
Mhm.
because I didn't have time to go to a counselor. I recommend mental health counseling, and I'm so glad I still go for counseling. I am not ashamed to say it. I think that it's important to get grief counseling. I think it's important to go online, go on Facebook. I have a support group, hashtag Kick Alzheimer's Dance Movement. Join support groups. Find
Yes.
one that you like. Belong to several. It's okay.
Mm-hmm.
And find what works for you. Also, if you can afford it, get a team about you. It was just my son and I taking care of my husband and Joshua's dad. Um, and that's another story with hospice. That's a whole nother show.
Well, I'm glad that you mentioned hospice because my next question was, you've spoken so openly about end of life care. Why do you feel we as a society avoid conversations about dying until we are forced into them?
We need to plan. Everyone plans where you're going to go to college, when you're going to get married, when you're going to have a baby. Well, why
Mhm.
can't we plan our end of life care? What do we want that to look like? And folks, get a living will, get a medical directive so your relatives don't have to wonder, you know, do they want life support? Don't they want life support? Do they want a feeding tube? Don't they want a feeding tube? And
Mhm.
get your wills made up. Even plan your funeral. I had pre-planned mats. It makes it much easier. Plan your funeral.
Yeah.
Um, I wish I had someone help me with the hospice process, but I didn't. But I would highly recommend that.
Yeah.
Um, Matt's doctor, excuse me, primary doctor recommended the hospice from our local hospital, which is connected to a huge healthcare system in New Jersey. That hospice was the hospice from hell.
Mm.
They thought they were dealing with this meek, quiet housewife. No. Uh-uh. I could not believe the nerve. The social worker came to my house and I called because the medicine wasn't working for Matt. He was terminally agitated. Even though
Mhm.
he was walking, well, shuffling, eating, he was dying. I knew he was dying. They didn't believe me.
Mhm.
And the medicine wasn't working. I kept calling him. He fell twice. They wouldn't come out and look at him. Yeah, they want to look at him. And the social worker came out and she goes, "Why do you call hospice so much? No one calls as much as you." And I said, "I'll call as much as I want because I'm my husband's advocate and I'm looking for a solution. You're not giving me one. You're giving me
Right.
more medicine that's not working." And I told her, "You need to tone down your attitude because you're talking to me like I'm stupid and I'm not stupid. I'm a licensed practical nurse. I gave medication and I know my husband and it's not working." And she had the audacity to tell me when I told her that Matt complained of a headache, clear as day, he said, "I have a headache." She had the nerve to say, "He couldn't possibly have a headache." Really? Why couldn't he have a headache?
Why not?
Why? Why do they think people with dementia or people who have mental disabilities, cognitive disabilities, don't feel pain? They're human beings. They feel pain.
Mm.
Um, so I had to put that woman in her place at my house and at the hospital. Well, I eventually got met up to the hospice unit in the hospital after I threatened to call Medicare and the supervisor of the whole regional thing.
Mm.
Yeah, don't mess with me.
Yeah.
Don't. I
Say
mean,
don't
don't even come to my house and disrespect me.
say don't let it don't let
Just
a little smile fool
I
you,
couldn't
huh?
believe it.
Yeah, and it's like that. Now I'm grateful that my grandfather did have a awesome end of life team, hospice team. But I think they knew from the start not to play with me when it come
Mhm.
to my granddaddy because they saw me give the doctor a piece of my mind about my granddaddy. So going forward, before we left the
Mhm.
hospital, they knew, yeah, she not gonna play with us. So
Yeah.
she's not gonna play with us. So
Oh,
they
they
were,
knew. Yeah, they knew that once. Oh, yeah.
mhm.
Yeah. They have to know that. I called up the director of hospice, and she goes, "Well, meet me in my office." Oh, I met with her, right? And she had the nerve to sit across from me and say to me, "Oh, I'm sorry. I guess someone apparently dropped the ball." And I said, "Carmela, my husband is not a ball. He's a human being. You would accept this type of treatment if it was your husband. Don't expect me to accept it because I'm not going to." And I had
You
people
said it
coming
right.
into Matt's room looking to see who the big mouth was.
Say his wife, his loving wife. So Matt
It's not
transition
petite.
on yes. So Matt transition on January the 1st of 2020. What did silence feel like after the years of caregiving for Matt? How did you navigate that process?
The grieving or the years of caregiving?
Yes, so he was after he transitioned and
Mhm.
the silence came. You know, he was no longer
Right.
he was no longer
Oh,
his caregiver. How did you navigate that?
it was really difficult the first year, Lakeisha. And after I felt terrible guilt for picking out a bad hospice. And I cried every night for a year for Matt to forgive me until I'm going to get emotional. Until I had an epiphany that Matt said to me, "I'm in heaven. I'm not thinking about it. Let it go and do what you're supposed to do." And folks, guilt is an energy drainer. I did the best I could. I fought for Matt. I know Matt knew that. And
Yeah.
I had to let that go. Because I said, I'm not going to feel guilty. I did everything I could. And I really had to let it go. I went for grief counseling, but it was, you missed their physical presence. And night was the worst for me. And yeah, nighttime was the worst. You missed their physical presence, touching
Yeah.
them, hearing their voice. It was really weird not to
Yeah.
have Matt with me
I
anymore.
totally agree. That survivor's guilt kicks in
Yeah.
and you question like, did I do everything that I
Mhm.
could? And I went through that too. And I know that I did everything that I could, but I couldn't shake it. And
Yeah.
so when I went to grief therapy, they did tell me that, well, you're not only grieving your grandfather, but you're grieving your grandfather as your child because you took care of him.
Hmm.
And I said, it made sense to me. She said, so you're actually like it's layered grief with
Yeah.
losing your grandfather. And it made so much sense to me, but it helped me to peel back the layers of my grief so that I could breathe again because I felt like I couldn't even breathe. And I know that I did all that I could, to give him the best quality of life that to the best of my ability. Um the mornings were worse for me because I had a routine. Get up, wash my face, brush my
Hmm.
teeth, get myself together, go straight in there and wake my grandfather up, get him changed, get him fed. Like that was morning routine, and then I no longer had that routine. So I didn't know what to do with myself. So I would sit on the side of the bed and just stare at the walls for hours because I didn't know what to do, you know.
Yeah, it's hard. And I thank you for sharing that, Lakeisha, because it's true. And I felt that my adrenaline was like up here. And it took me years to calm down
Mm-hmm.
because I'd wake up and like, I got to get ready. I got to get Matt ready. I got to do this. I got to do that. And then I'm like, Matt's not here. I could calm down. It was hard to calm down. It's
Mm-hmm.
hard to, and when you do come down, you're exhausted.
Yeah.
You realize I got hit by a Mack truck backwards and forwards. That's just how it
Yeah,
feels like.
absolutely.
And Matt died on January 1st. So he was in the hospice during the holiday time. Matter of
Mm-hmm.
fact, he went on hospice day after Thanksgiving. To this day, I cannot cook Thanksgiving dinner on Thanksgiving. I'll cook
Yeah.
it. We changed traditions. I cook Thanksgiving dinner on Christmas Eve.
Oh wow.
Um, and seeing Matt in the body bag, watching him die. I've seen people die. I worked as a nurse, but watching my husband die, that was traumatic. I had post-traumatic.
I'm
And there
glad
is
that you.
such a thing, folks.
It
Caregiver
is.
post-traumatic. They're recognizing it now. Hallelujah.
Yes.
Hallelujah.
Yes, and I dealt with that, and it showed up in the form of a heart attack.
Yeah.
I had a
Not,
heart attack uh,
oh, my.
three 3 months after my grandfather passed away. Yeah, about
I'm
three
so
months,
sorry.
3 months after. Yeah,
And that is not uncommon
no.
because of the stress. And if we don't learn, Lakecia, to grieve openly in this society, this is what hurts people. When you hold
Mhm.
that grief in and you think you got to suck it up and you got to be quiet about it, no. Take it from this Jersey girl. You talk about your grief, and if people aren't comfortable with it, that's their problem, not yours. Because I talk
Yeah,
about my husband, and I will
yeah.
post his birthday. I celebrate his birthday. Um, and every year from Thanksgiving to New Year's, I would feel like, memories pop up and I would think, what's wrong with me? Why am I not over this? And then I learned it's always going to be part of me.
Yes.
I I am not broken. I don't need to be fixed. This is part of my life, and I have to learn to accept and live with the memories. And once I did that, I could accept. Okay, I feel sad. Not oh, I got to keep busy so I don't feel sad. Feel your sadness, people. Feel
Yes.
your grief
Yes.
and go
Feel it.
through it. And
Yes.
I highly recommend as a resource David Kessler, Kessler. He's a grief and trauma expert.
Mm-hmm.
I learned so much from him. And I recommend him all the time. I learned a lot. And I learned that, you know what? I could sit with my grief. I could be happy. I could be sad. And the one thing I learned, Lakecia, because my brother died a year after Matt. Matt
Mm-hmm.
was 66. My brother was 67. Life is short. I'm going to enjoy my life here on earth as as they're enjoying their afterlife. I'm enjoying my life down here. Yes, I cry at times, but I have a whole new appreciation for life.
Yes. I'm great. I'm loving the fact that you said that because I experienced that as well, like losing my brothers back to back. Um I have a whole new outlook on death,
Mhm,
grief. I had to learn to accept the new normal for me, which is my grief. It's never
mhm.
going anywhere. So I had to learn how to integrate it into who I am, and shift my perspective about my grief instead of um, suppressing my feelings. I feel my feelings, but at the same time, let me express my love for my loved one. Let me honor them in some way. So
Yeah.
whether it's writing a letter, whether it's looking at videos or pictures, I'm so grateful for those pictures and videos now because we didn't have that back in the day.
Right.
So videos and pictures are very limited with certain loved ones versus the more recent loved ones. I have more because that was another thing that my grief did. My grief made me cherish every moment. So I love
Mhm.
to take photos. I have to take photos because those photos are gonna outlast me,
Yeah.
So um I know you said when you lost your father, because I know you lost your brother, your father, and your husband. Um you described a feeling of a hole in your heart after losing your father.
Yeah.
How did losing your father differ from losing your spouse?
Oh, it's so different. I mean, I lost my grandparents, losing my father, the first parent. My mother died 2 years ago. Losing my father, I just felt such a hole in my heart. And like, wow. And I would go to the cemetery and talk to him. I went to the cemetery, yells at him, but I would go to the cemetery and talk to them. And losing a spouse is so different. And then losing a sibling, losing my brother cut me to my core in a whole
Yes.
different way. Like you
Mhm.
don't think you're going to lose your siblings. And it was during COVID, so we couldn't visit Bradley. And it hurt me that I was thinking, what is he thinking that no one's there for him?
Yeah.
Thankfully, they let my younger brother, my mother, be with him, and they knew he was dying, so he didn't
Mhm.
die alone. But it's so different. And then losing Matt was the biggest loss of my life,
Yes.
and I can't even imagine for people who've lost their children. And I've interviewed people who've lost their children. That's a pain. I don't even want to know. I can't even. My brain can't even go there.
Yes. I
You
feel
know.
that
And
way with my mom losing my brother.
yeah.
My mom, even with me being a grief coach, it's still hard for me to um it's not hard. I have to silently show up for my mom, because I am her daughter. So I can't come put the therapy or a coach hat on with her. Um I just have to let her process her
Mhm.
grief in her own way, in her own time. And she's finally opened up recently about wanting to take the next step in her healing journey. So I'm excited about that.
Oh,
Um,
that's good. Yeah.
yes, because after 6 years, my brother's been gone almost 6 years, and it's hard to watch my mom grieve the way that she's grieving, but at the same time, it's not my place to put any expectations on her grief journey, so
Yeah. And it's like my mom was from the old school where you didn't talk about your grieving because I
my
had
mom,
suggested. I
yes.
suggested grief counseling, and she bit my head off. She goes, I don't have to tell anyone how I feel. It's no one's business. And I felt bad that she's having this grieving and she feels that she can't talk about it. And this
Mhm.
is what gets passed on. Like she would say, Betsy, keep busy. Life goes on, keep busy. Yeah, I keep busy, but you can't keep so busy that you're not addressing your grieving because it's got
Yes,
to come out, folks. You got to go through that pain. As
yeah,
painful as it is, you got to process it.
and it's
Not
so
only was,
easy for their generation. Well, I'll say
yeah,
my mom, the older generation, for them to suppress it. Suppress it was like a badge of honor.
yeah,
Whereas it's killing you on the inside. But
yeah.
my mom was the same way. Like, I'm not doing any therapy. Like, she looks at therapy as like, no, I'm not doing it. That's wrong. So I I believe I was just able to model my grief journey because I grieve out loud.
Hmm.
I I lost my best friend and I lost my fiance,
Oh my.
and then I lost my brother, one of my brothers, all in the same year. That broke me
Oh,
to my core. And to
yeah.
add salt to an open wound, I lost
Mhm.
my other younger brother right after that.
Oh, so
Um,
much loss, Lakeisha. I just want to give you a hug through the airways.
so it was it,
That's rough.
but that sibling grief,
Uh, I
that's a
was,
whole other ball game. It
yeah.
it lit the statement that you die with that person. Losing my brother was when I really felt the trueness of that statement. Um, I feel like I died with him. And the old version of Keisha did. I'm no longer who I was before that phone call on November the 2nd of 2020. I'll never be the same. He broke me to my core. He did.
It changes you. Grieving changes you. And it's what you do with that change. It's up to you. But, depending on how your loved one died, if you know that they're dying, it all stinks. But
Mhm.
when if you know they're dying, you could get to be with them. If it's sudden, unexpected, that's a whole nother
That's
trauma.
a whole nother trauma.
If they were murdered, that's a whole nother thing. If they can unalive themselves, that's
Mhm.
a whole nother thing. And folks, I'm going to tell you right now because I'm a Jersey girl. Please don't tell people you know how they feel because you do not. You do not. I would never say to someone who lost a child, I know how you feel. I don't know how they feel. And I don't want to know how they feel, to be honest. And
Absolutely.
every person is different. What I like what David Kessler said, because he would say, people ask me, how long will I be grieving? And he said, how long is your person going to be dead for?
Mm.
You're going
True.
to be you're going to be grieving. The more love you had for someone, the more deeper the grieving is going to be.
Yes. Yes.
And the thing is, Lakecia, we never stop loving or missing them. We don't. People think we do. We don't. And we still love them. And
Yes.
say their names. Okay. We
Yes.
know they're gone. And not a secret, folks. Say their name.
Yes. I love that Disney movie. I want to say it's Coco.
Oh, yeah, I heard of that. Yeah.
Yes, and how they honor and they honor their ancestors by speaking their name and keeping their pictures up, and
Hmm.
that keeps their spirit alive. I love that movie because it to me it's a depiction of how I express my love for my loved ones
Hmm.
and my ancestors. Like I keep my brother's pictures up. I'm always speaking about my brothers.
Hmm.
Not just my brothers, but my loved ones. Like I've lost within the past 7 years, I have lost 10 immediate family members.
Wow.
No, correction, 11 immediate family members.
Wow.
11. I'm talking about people that I grew up in the household with. And I sometimes have this vision where we're all in the house that we grew up, and then they're just disappearing one by one, one by one. And it's still a lot for me. It's
That,
still a lot for me.
that is
Um,
a lot. That is tremendous. A good friend of mine, she died. She helped me start my group. She died a couple of years ago. She had
mhm.
cancer. Um, my son, at the age of Josh is 41, he'll be 42 in July. He's had a lot of loss in his life.
Yeah.
He just lost a friend that was like a mom to him that he worked with. And, losing his dad, um, I'm very open with Josh about grieving. And we should let our children grieve, no matter what their age, and
Yes,
let them express how they feel. And I told them, Father's Day will always be difficult for you.
absolutely.
It always will be.
Always.
Um, and we go to the cemetery and then we do something fun. And you can change traditions. And I, people might think I'm a little woo woo, but I get a birthday cake, a small one, and we sing happy birthday to Matt. And I celebrate my anniversary, and encourage people to celebrate theirs. More people are doing that now. They're
Yes.
they're doing that, but someone had
Mhm.
to start it. I'm like, what are you supposed to do? Forget you were married for 39, or well, I was married for 39 years, whatever years it is. You're supposed to pretend that person never existed. No, you honor their life, and if people don't
Mhm.
like it, that's tough.
Exactly.
You know,
Yeah.
I, I'm the rebel in my family. I'm like, yeah, I'm going to talk about grieving. I,
I love you. You're such an inspiration to me, Miss Bessie,
thank you.
especially how vocal you are. That's something that I've had to navigate because I didn't use my voice. I had to regain my voice. Of course, that has trauma is trauma, so that
Hmm.
was dealing with things that was already there before the grief got there. So now I'm learning to use my voice and be more vocal and stand up for what I believe in. So talking to you is you're such an inspiration to me because I'm like, if she does it every day, I can do it.
Well,
I can
thank you.
definitely
You know what? That's one of the gifts that Alzheimer's gave me. I say that Alzheimer's took Matt away,
do it.
but Alzheimer's also gave me many gifts. I found my voice. I'm a very shy, quiet person, believe it or not. But I found my voice. And doing my podcast gave me confidence to talk to different people about different topics. And I created my group so nobody should ever feel alone in caregiving like I felt.
Yeah.
And I didn't want anyone to feel alone. And I just, say things how they are. I'm definitely my father's daughter. I'm like,
I love it.
my
I
dad
love
was straight up. My dad was always straight up. You knew what was on his mind because he had no problem telling you.
Yes. I love it. So you have talked to people from all walks of life through
Mhm.
your own platform. What's one thing grief has taught you about humanity?
Wow. People do feel grief. They are hurting. We all hurt. And yet we don't want to help each other through it because we're ashamed to say, I'm hurting. I need help. I need support. We're afraid to be vulnerable and to because we fear judgment from people
Yes, we fear judgment. And a lot of that,
and shame.
yes, shame and judgment. And I've noticed in within my community, um, it was forbidden topics.
Yeah.
We were basically where I grew up at, we were taught to suppress our feelings,
Mhm.
not express our feelings. Expressing your feelings means that you're either angry or you're depressed or something that was taboo. It
Mhm.
didn't mean that you were doing something healthy. Expressing your feelings was looked at as unhealthy. So we silenced ourselves to keep from being called crazy, you know? And
Oh yeah.
and I'm just looking at the generational effects of it in the community now. Emotional intelligence, which includes all emotions,
Yeah.
is at an all-time low. A lot of people don't have emotional intelligence, and it's not because they don't wanna or they don't choose
True.
to have it. It's because they don't even know how or where to start with having it. So
And that emotional intelligence, that is so true, Lakeisha. And I grew up in the '60s. I'm 68, so I grew up in the '60s and '70s. You did not talk about your feelings. You, even as a girl, as a female, crying was a weakness. Forget it if you're a boy and you cried. Um, that was weakness. Talking about your feelings. Nobody talked about anything. The
mhm.
abuse that went on at that time, nobody talked about anything. And
Yeah.
I was what you call the black sheep of my family because I called stuff out.
Mhm.
I would say called this abuse, and was they didn't like that, but I
No.
said it like it was. When I went to therapy at 16, that was taboo back then.
Mhm.
And I have to say that people, um, if you're out there and you need help, you go to your primary doctor and you ask for referrals in your area. And folks, when someone needs to go for help, they're not weak. They're strong. And I'm going to tell you something. It takes a strong person to say, I need help. I'm going to therapy, especially when they live in an environment that is making fun of them for going to therapy. Try that.
Yeah.
That was my experience at 16. I'm going for therapy and my family is gaslighting me,
Yes.
calling me, names. Yeah, my sister called me names, made fun of me, and then she went for therapy later. So, they say
Yes.
the people in glass houses shouldn't throw stones. You don't know
Mhm.
what life has in store for you. You don't know a
Absolutely.
curveball that you're going to get. You might need therapy. Do you want to feel ashamed? Do you want someone to make you feel like you're weak? No. And
Absolutely.
that, oh, and then forget about men, Lakecia. We need to raise our boys in a safe environment where they can share their feelings. And maybe we'd have
Mhm.
less suicides among men
Mhm.
because this has to stop. This stigma has got to stop. That's the one thing COVID did. COVID brought mental health to the forefront, but it should have always been at the forefront. More celebrities are talking about it, so it's been, more acceptable. But,
Mhm.
coming from where I grew up, it was not acceptable. There's still a stigma.
Mhm.
And, I used to say on my show, I go for counseling because I want people to know if Betsy could say she goes for counseling, then okay, then maybe I can go too and give them some hope and give them some inspiration to go for therapy. Because, hey, we all need it at one point. Um, and as strong as you might feel, we all have our boiling point. Oh, and that's another thing, Lakecia. I'm going to get on my soapbox there. People who are grieving, they're like, oh, I don't want to talk about it because I don't want to cry. Well, why can't you cry? People
Mhm.
forget the shortest verse in the New Testament is Jesus wept. So
It sure
Jesus
is.
wept, then we can weep, okay?
Yes.
Jesus wept when Lazarus died. We
Yes.
can cry. We're human beings. We're not robots.
And let me tell you, crying is a release. It
That's right.
feels
It's
good
cathartic.
after you've cried and released it. You feel
Yeah.
good.
You might look
You
like a
feel
mess, but
good.
you feel good inside.
Yes.
um,
Yes.
it,
You feel
it's
like
been
you can take
proven.
a few more strides. So
Yeah.
release it. It's okay. So Betsy, if you could sit beside the version of yourself from 2010, the woman just beginning this Alzheimer's journey, what would you have told her? What would you tell her?
Wow. I would tell her take time for yourself. Don't worry about the future. Live in the present and enjoy every minute with your loved one
Yes.
and get the
Beautiful,
support that you need.
beautifully said. Absolutely. So I know that we've talked about Alzheimer's and your advocacy and um your awards and you just as an overall person. I love your energy. I love your
Thank
spirit.
you. Thank
But I
you.
don't want us to end without touching on your son just a little more. So, what has your son taught you about resilience in love?
Uh, Josh is such a blessing. He took care of his dad, and he was a kick-ass caregiver. He won an award um, from Dementia Spotlight, and
Oh,
he was proud to be a caregiver. He was proud of it, and that was his thing. So when his dad died, he didn't know what to do with himself. He was missing his dad, and then COVID happened, and he lost his job because everything closed down, couldn't socialize, and we made it through. But he taught me. Josh was so patient, more patient with Matt sometimes than I was. That he was just resilient. He, even with all of the losses that he suffered, he always expressed how he felt. He was not. He's so open and loving that I love that. And I said that's not a flaw. That's a good quality.
right. Absolutely.
You, that he could still love and still care. He's a blessing.
Absolutely. So, for someone listening tonight who is exhausted from caregiving, or drowning in grief, what do you want them to hear from your heart?
It's normal to feel like you're drowning. Get help. Go for counseling. I highly recommend it. Go on David Kessler's website. He has free seminars. I learned a lot. Free videos. He also has the paid thing. I don't do that. I do the free stuff. uh, talk to Lakecia. She's a grief coach. I didn't know Lakecia at the time. I just met her today.
Yeah.
Get a grief coach. Get support. Don't be ashamed. Don't feel that you have to handle it alone. You don't. There's help out there. There's resources out there. And
Yes.
no, you'll always have this pain of loss. It's there. It's not going to go away. The love will grow, and you will find your way. And you can integrate loving and living with your grieving.
With your grief, yes, you can. Absolutely. So my last question for the night, and I'm so grateful that you have been here with me. And this hour went fast. It went very fast.
Yes.
But my
Thank
last
you so
question,
much.
you're welcome. So I want to know, what legacy do you hope Matt's life leaves behind through your advocacy?
Wow, it's gonna make me cry.
Mm.
That I had no idea when I would do videos of Matt that it helped other people. Matt's Matt is the reason why I went in my car to do my videos. That's why I had Chatting with Betsy. That was my podcast. That's why I have hashtag Kick Alzheimer's Ass Movement. It's why I feel I want to help people and that they should not be alone. Matt's life touched people around the world. And I'm so grateful for that. Very grateful. I had no idea at the time. And I'm
Abs-
grateful. I know he's smiling.
Absolutely. I know he's smiling too. So it's been such a pleasure speaking with you. We will have to speak again soon. I'm so grateful that I was able to connect with you and meet you on tonight. So thank you so much for being
Too.
here and sharing your story and just being the remarkable person that you are. Continue to do what you do because the world needs more Betsy's for sure.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you so
Yes,
much, Lakecia. You are great. Thank you for being a wonderful host. And I really enjoyed talking to you. So thank you so much. Thank you.
absolutely. And you have a wonderful night. And thank you all for tuning in. Well, let's
You
talk
too.
grief. And we will see you on next week.